Hello, this is your recording for your Chapter 8 grader project. Before we start, let's go over a few things to review. One thing that you're going to face today is the relative or the absolute reference, and you show absolute reference by using the dollar sign, such as you would put the dollar sign in front of the D and the 4 instead of just using D4 in Excel. Some of the other things that we're going to go over are the if function. And in the if function, the first thing you do is you check the condition, just one item. And if it's true, this item happens. And if it's false, this item happens. And if it's like yes or a no, you put it in quotes. If it's just a number, you put it in a straight number. And as you can see here, you separate the true and the false by a comma. That's one of the reasons why you do not put commas in when you enter numbers in Excel, because the commas have a purpose of also being a delimiter. Okay, and if you want the comma in the after effects, you just format it as necessary. Another thing you'll use today is the question between using now or today to show today's date. Okay, now if you just want to show today's date, just use equals today. Now would probably what also bring up the time. Another one you'll be using is roundup, which rounds the numbers up. So let's get started. So this is the sheet that you'll be working on. We're going to go into B14 and enter today's date. In cell C14, create a formula that adds the 7 days to cell B14. Okay, so I'm going to go into B14, excuse me, and using a function enter today's date, which will be equals today, open close. Don't forget to put in the open close. And then I'm going to go into C14 and I'm going to add 7 days. Excel treats days like a number, so I could say equals, click on today's date, plus 7, enter. And as you can see, it added the 7 days. And then I am going to autofill it across this row. Okay, so I went from D14 to H14. That's only G. Let's say you forgot one. I could also just highlight it. I could say Control C or copy, then go to the other one, and then the Control V as a paste. So, and to get rid of this neon sign, all you got to do is hit Escape. So those are two ways you could copy or autofill your formulas. Okay, now it also says to format the results if necessary as a short date, and this is the short date. Okay, now let's see here. In the range B24, item 3 says to enter from H15 through H21. These are your personal numbers on what these information would be. And so go ahead and just put in information that would reflect your usage, or if you want, just keep it straight. You do not have to use exactly what I put in. So I'm just going to go 75 here, maybe 2 here, 2 here also, 50 here, say 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So I am going to make the formula. It's equals average. We have done this one before. And we're going to go from B15 through H15. You could either type in those numbers with a colon in between, or you could highlight it and hit enter. And that's I am going to do an average equals average, open parentheses, from B15 through H15, highlight it, and hit enter. Or I could have put in the actual numbers, B15 colon H15. Okay, so once you get that done, use the fill handle to copy the results to B25 to B30. Since all these numbers are exactly like in the relative order. So I'm just going to do a fill, and there's your answer. Okay, the next thing we want to do is go to C24, and then we want the average monthly usage by multiplying cell B24 by 4. So this time it'll be equals whatever is in B24 times 4. Then hit enter. There's your answer, and I am going to copy that down. Okay, now in step 6, in D24, I'm going to calculate the estimated average usage by multiplying C24 by B3. So I'm going to click on C. I'm in D24, so I'm going to say equals this times, and now let's go back to that other sheet for a second. So now we may have to remember about this thing up here. So when you start copying things, sometimes one may have to be fixed. So just keep that in mind. All right, so C24 times, what do we want to multiply it by? We want to multiply it by B3. So B3 is up here. Okay, so I'm going to say multiply. Okay, so that'll work here, but if I copy this down, because all the information is in order right here. Okay, so now we're going to go to E24. We're going to go to cell H8, type this in, and bold and right align it. And I am going to maintain all the actual typing in. But let's work on the formulas now. So once you type the total estimated monthly data usage in megabytes in, and after you bold and right align the text, then in cell I8, that's right here, I am going to say, it says to create a function that totals data in the ranges D24 through D30. So this is going to be equals sum D24 colon, that's for through, D30. And that's the megabyte usage for that area. Okay, now, for the total estimated monthly data usage, you have to type this in. Again, bold and right align it. And then the formula this time is divide I8 by 1024. So again, you start off with an equal sign. I'm going to divide I8 divided by 1024 for the 1 gigabyte. That gives that number. Okay. Then for the minimum data required by the plan, again, bold and right align and type this into this block. Then the formula that you want in here is to use the roundup function to round the results in I9 to a whole number. So I am going to say equals roundup, open parentheses. Now roundup needs at least two inputs. So the first one is the number, so that's the number up here. And I'm going to put in a comma, the delimiter, and the number of digits we want according to the directions is 0. So I'm going to put in a 0, close it, and hit enter, and there it is. Okay, now the next one you type in would selected plan work with 20% increase in usage. Okay, so now let's think about this one. So let's go back to the actual if function. So it needs three things. We need a condition. We're just testing for one thing, and the answer if it's true, and the answer if it's false. So let's go back to our worksheet. Okay, so again, this is a function, so we'll start out with an equal sign. Then I type if, open parentheses. So the first thing we want is the logical test or the condition, okay? So the condition we want to figure out is if we have a 20% increase, will that work, okay? So if, so with a 20% increase, we can't forget what we started off with. So we're going to multiply it by 1.2 for the 20% increase times the estimated monthly usage. Okay. And if that is less than or equal to, you have to kind of show it this way. If that is less than or equal to the data required by the plan, is that going to be good enough? Now, if this is true, we're going to say yes, but to say yes, we have to put it in double quotes and comma, and if it's no, it's no. There it is. So if we have a 20% increase to this, the minimum data required by the plan will not work. Okay, for step 11, in cell E23, you will type in percent of total usage. Okay, and be sure you format it as it is required. Okay, now I am going into E24. Let's see here. Then we want to create a formula that computes the percentage of total usage for emailing dividing D24 by I8. Okay, so I am going to say equals, and we're going to divide what again? We're going to divide D24 by I8. And we get this number. Now, this time, if we copy, we would think that the copying down would work, so I'm going to do the autofill, and it goes all over the world, okay? So I'm going to get rid of this. So again, this time, we are multiplying what? We're multiplying this number times I8, which is this number, okay? So now if we copy down, the D24 becomes E24, that is okay, but since we're coming down, this will go down too, and kind of goes all over the place. So we want to fix this address here. So I'm going to go back into this formula here, and then I am going to say, instead of I8, I'm going to go in front of it. And there's basically two ways to do this. You could put type in the dollar signs in yourself, or you could use F4. And then that'll put the dollar signs in front of it. Now, if you're using a laptop, then you have to push the function key and then the F4, and then it would work. So try it with the F4 only, and if it doesn't work, next time push the function key down and try it this way. Okay, so now let's copy the formula down. Whoops, let's don't get carried away here. Click. Now it seems to work. So now let's check this up. Okay, so the first one is still D24 divided by I8. So let's go down one, and look at this. It's D25 divided by I8 because of the dollar signs are in front of it. Okay. Now, once you get all this done, we want to insert a custom header that displays your first and last name and on the right side of the page. Okay, so where is the custom header? Basically, again, there's more than one way to do this, but you go into the page layout, then click on this. But since I am not connected to the printer, that won't show up for me here. You have to be connected to the printer in most cases, or you could try going to File and change the printer to go to Print, and try changing the printer to a PDF. Sometimes that will work, but that is not available either. So you have to connect to a printer, then you could go into the page setup on the layout, or okay, let's go into the page setup. So we could go into the page layout and click here, or we could go file print and click in there. So let's start here. So I am going to click on the page setup mark there. This will show up. Then I am going to go into the header footer. And what do we want to do? We want to put a first and last name in the top right of the range. So header footer, custom header, top right. Then I am going to put in Joe Cool. I don't know why I can't move this over. Okay, it's a little better. And then I'm going to say OK. There it is on the top right. And then we want to display the date in the bottom left of the page. The date in the bottom left of the page. So that's the custom footer. We're going to go at the bottom left. We want to put in the date, which would be the calendar here. And then what else do we want to do? And the file name in the bottom right. So I'm going to click on the right section, and the file name would be, you just kind of point at it. So file path, file name, and then say OK, and then say OK here. And those are already included. And again, you could have gone into file, said print, and you could go into the page setup here also if you can't go the other way. And finally, to record or change the orientation, you could go into the print mode and change the orientation from here from portrait to landscape, or you could have done that in page layout under orientation also.